Welcome to this episode of Diary of a Randonneur. You'll be pleased to know that we're back to a normal length episode this time around. What I want to talk about this time is fueling and eating on the bike. My strategy generally is a little bit often. This has really come from when I was doing off-road long distance cycling, where you don't really have the opportunities to stop in towns and villages to get a more substantial sort of meal down you. Now, odaxing, of course, you go through a lot more populated areas. There will always tend to be control points that are in towns and villages. Often there might be a suggested cafe where you can get in there, and at least if you could have, say, for instance, a sandwich and a pack of crisps, and maybe a piece of cake and a hot drink. Those opportunities generally don't exist in quite the same way when you're riding off-road. So I got into the habit of carrying a lot of food myself and then just gradually picking at that food as I'm going along. So my strategy would always be to eat something at least once an hour. Now, I'm finding that quite a difficult sort of habit or strategy to break. Now, it's not to say that I should be shaking that off. I mean, why bother changing? It works for me. But I have become kind of partial to stopping in a cafe, and maybe actually I don't really need to carry as much food with me all the time because it is far easier to resupply. So I'm interested really in what other people do. What are your thoughts on this? Are you like me a little bit often, or are you somebody who actually likes to stop in the control points, buy something, eat it, move on and repeat that during the whole ride? Really like to hear your thoughts and ideas around this. Last thing I want to say is that this video does have a little bit of wind noise again, like the previous one. I've ordered a kind of wind housing for the GoPro, so hopefully, fingers crossed, this will be the last video where wind is a problem for the audio. We left Tewkesbury heading west to Ledbury for our first information control point of the day. Then through to Broomyard for control point 2. Continuing north into Ludlow for control point 3. The route then swung west and we headed into Prestine for our second information control point. Then south to Kington for control point 4. Continuing south down to Allensmore Services for our last control, and then heading east back to Tewkesbury.
Today's ride is a 200k calendar event. The King's Castles, Priests and Churches at Tewkesbury. Slightly earlier start than I'm accustomed to. Weather looks like it might be dry, if overcast, but dry. Hey, that's got to be a good thing. An unusual thing at this point as well. I mean, I'm not sure what was the bigger shock this morning, looking at the weather and seeing it was going to be dry, or looking at the weather at 5 AM, which is when I had to be up to make it here on time. So yeah, a little bit of an early start, but it's quite a nice morning. So I guess that's the first of our points of interest that give this ride its name. Going to try and keep a lookout for a lot of those today. Just coming through Ledbury, our first control point of the day, information control point here. While this ride is only 1600 metres climbing, it's actually worth AAA points, which is kind of surprising. Guess it's just the quirk of the system. As you've probably seen, it's really brightened up. The early morning cloud has dissipated a little bit. These crisp December mornings are the days of riding you live for, right, in the winter. Just coming into Bromyard. It's our second control of the day. I think we're at about 40 something K. Feels like it's flown by this morning. I guess that's good weather and quiet roads. I think I might try and stop for a quick bacon sarnie. Didn't get much for breakfast this morning, so this is pretty welcome. Lovely little stop there in Brunard. Cafe just full of riders. Bumped into Jack P, haven't seen him around for a very long time. One of the Bare Bones crew. Actually, Jack is an absolute monster of a rider. Yeah, guy took part in the Pan Celtic race. I was following his dot. Pulled a monster last day. I don't know, maybe 250 miles or something through the night to finish the race. Yeah, it was impressive stuff. Anyway, next control's Ludlow. That's at 77k, which is about, I don't know, 30k away. So just been through Tembury Wells. I can hardly recommend Mr. Tom's Bakery. Sausage rolls there are great. Didn't stop there today, but I did earlier in the year, in October. I joined the Autumn South Salapian, and yeah, it's a nice little stop there. Salapian, by the way, is someone who comes from Shropshire. Bit of pub quiz trivia for you there. So just had a very quick stop in Ludlow for our second free control. It's a bustling place on a Saturday morning. Seems like it could be quite a nice place to visit. Bit of a ODAX conference going on outside the spa there. Nice to have a little chat with the riders. Just heading through Mortimer Forest. Bet there's a few cheeky runs through the woods up here on a hillside this steep. Not sure the camera's picking it up, but quite nice to just see the sun poking through the trees there. Well, I've found the parish church. Not for any epistemological reasons, you understand. I need to find who it's been dedicated to. Okay, so there it is, St Andrews. On to the next. So I've been in two minds if I was going to stop in Kington or not. Been glad I did. Stopped up at a little cafe there and had sandwich and a milkshake. About 10k after the last stop at Kington, I started getting a really bad stomach. I think it's just the sandwich I had wasn't sitting right. And it actually got pretty painful, and I was like not in a good way, to be honest, and must have had about 20k of feeling pretty awful. And it turns out that in that 20k I've missed the last control point, so I've got about 5k past, which ain't quite so bad, but I'm on my way back to it now. Alright, so that was 5k done in quick smart time to get back there. Got my stamp, pretty much turned around and come back again. And now I'm going to try and catch up with this train of lads in front of us to jump on the back of them and tow me along. Right, see you in a bit. So last week's ride ended very strangely for me. I was basically absolutely knackered, like way more exhausted than I ever normally am at the end of, well, any ODAX I've done this year, and particularly not a 200. I'm not 100% sure kind of what was going on there. I've been really tired all week. Maybe I'm just a little bit under the weather. I didn't really get a huge amount of sleep the night before. Maybe 4 hours, and even then it was kind of a broken, kind of tossing and turning type sleep. And I think this actually kind of really affected me this time, which is unusual for me. I normally do okay on not a huge amount of sleep. And I think this actually kind of really affected what we might call my kind of ride craft. I kind of found on the day that you know, I didn't eat enough, I certainly didn't drink enough, I got dehydrated, I got really hot at a few points as well and took ages to do anything about it. I missed turnings, I missed an entire control point as well, like, and you know, shot straight past it and ended up having to come back, which put an extra, you know, 10k on the ride. Which, yeah, okay, in itself is not too bad, but yeah, loads of rookie errors that I wouldn't normally make. So yeah, like I say, I think maybe the lack of sleep was kind of what affected me there. All that aside though, I actually really enjoyed this ride. It was a really good route. The roads were very quiet, it was really picturesque, it was a nice day for it. There were lots of kind of little points of interest along the ride as well, which made it kind of a little bit more interesting. There were some great little towns and villages that were chosen as control points with some good cafes. I also found this ride particularly sociable. I thought there was kind of, I don't know, there was a lot of people who I chatted to a lot more than normal, and I'm normally a reasonably chatty rider at control points and things, but yeah, it just seemed like kind of, I think maybe the weather being good actually really kind of helped the mood. And thanks to the guys actually who I rode with at the end for the last 50k or so, good to group up at the end, particularly in the dark. Nice to ride in a group like that in that situation, so cheers guys. This is probably gonna be the last video of the year for me. This is probably gonna be the last video of the year for me. I have a few more rides planned, a couple of DIYs over the Christmas period, but I suspect the chance of me getting a video out before the end of the month is quite slim. So happy Christmas to everybody. Thank you for watching these videos so far. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed and anyone who's given me any feedback on the videos so far. Hopefully we can all have a good period of riding over Christmas, and hopefully you know, we can look forward to a good year of riding in 2020.